We're back again for another episode of No Spoiler Parts with John DiLeo, and he's going to tell us about today
Gene Wilder in Bonnie and Clyde for just 6.5 minutes. You will see he's on the cover actually of my book. There are no small parts. 100 outstanding film performances with screen time of 10 minutes or less. And as I said, Gene Wilder in Bonnie and Clyde is 6.5 minutes. It's his film debut, and his 6.5 minutes are all together. It's like a sort of little mini movie in the movie. Sometimes the performances have a scene at the beginning and a scene at the end, or they come in and out. And sometimes it's like this. It's one sort of contained, section of the film. So his 6.5 minutes go straight through. And what I love about his performance is that, as short as it is, and the audience, like I said, it's a film debut. Most people watching the movie in 1967 had not heard of him. Everything we would love about Gene Wilder, it's all there in these 6.5 minutes. He's extremely funny in his very unique way. And if you recall, Bonnie and Clyde, they steal cars. One of the things that they do to keep the cops guessing, I guess, of course. They steal his car, Gene Wilder's car, and he's out on the front porch making out with his girlfriend, played by Evans. And they use her car to chase that car, not knowing who just stole their car. And at the beginning, Gene Wilder's all tough and puffed up. We're going to get them, go after them, wait till I get my hands on them. And then, assuming they're just, wild teenagers. And then his girlfriend says, well, what if they've got guns? And he's like, okay, let's go to the police. So he's already sort of not quite as tough. But what changes everything is that when Bonnie and Clyde and the Barrow gang see the other car turn around heading for the police, they decide to have some fun and follow them. And then they're really scared. Then they take them hostage in Gene Wilder's own car. And what's so wonderful of what happens in this 6.5 minutes is that going from initially being, of course, scared, they have so much fun. They forget actually what's going on, and they just have a ball with the Barrow gang, and leads to them, stopping for, getting takeout, and then all eating together in the car. And you just watch Gene Wilder open up as if he's been this unpopular guy his whole life, who's finally hanging out with the cool kids, being accepted, laughing, and, thinking, this is not so bad. Everything changes when Faye Dunaway as Bonnie asks him what his profession is, and when he says undertaker, it kills the mood. And suddenly the next thing, Gene Wilder and Evans are dropped off on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere. It's pitch black. He's still holding his hamburger, and it's all over in a flash. So it's this kind of amazing episode that starts in fear, reaches this climax of joy and silliness and fun, and then it's over in a flash as if it never happened. And it's this sort of, like I said, wonderful vignette in the movie, which continues to play with comedy and violence and drama, and and it tries to keep you off balance. And this is probably the funniest section of the movie, and Gene Wilder is such a highlight. And of course he's sitting next to Gene Hackman through the whole thing, and they really bond. And of course they'd both be involved in Young Frankenstein. That would be 7 years later. And Gene Hackman's performance in Young Frankenstein is also in this book as playing the blind man.
It's funny because I remember the movie and I remember that scene, but I didn't remember what Gene Wilder did.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't Gene Wilder when he did it. So I guess you don't go backwards as much.
Right.
And say, now this guy's famous, I remember what he did.
Well, the one after the Bonnie and Clyde, he does The Producers. He's nominated for an Oscar, and of course he's with Mel Brooks, and then he's totally defined. But he's not yet defined as who he's going to be in the movies yet. And yet, like I said, everything that you love about him, the offbeat line readings, that's what makes stars is that they're not like anybody else. And he you could see that in this performance, and then it could just gets full blown in the next one with The Producers.
And so he kind of knew, and everybody else knew, what his calling was going to be after Bonnie and Clyde.
I think so. I mean, he was a serious actor in terms of his training, and I think once it was so obvious how funny he was going to be and the way he clicked, it was like, oh, this is what we want from you, and please keep doing it. and of course we define him as one of the funniest actors of his era.
He wasn't as good as a serious actor?
No, I'm saying I once the movies defined him, that's what he became, you know. But before that, like I said, when you're an actor and you want to play everything and show your versatility, you don't know that, you know, soon the world is going to love you for this one particular aspect of your talent. And he gave so many great, funny performances throughout the 1970s and beyond.
Do you think he aspired to be the leading man type?
No, I don't think so, because, you know, I mean, occasionally, you know, people who weren't traditional leading man types could become stars even way back. Well, someone like Edward G. Robinson could be a major movie star, but no one could have told him, "Oh, go out to Hollywood because they're looking for the next Valentino," or, you know, so you never know. But certainly, I'm sure he, from the beginning, would have thought of himself as a character actor. Because even by the 60s, even the great people who became stars often wanted to be thought of as character actors anyway, like Dustin Hoffman or Robert Duvall or Gene Hackman. Like, I don't want to be a movie star. A movie star is like something from the past. And, you know, someone like Robert Redford would be considered a movie star of that time. But even he was a Broadway actor who was very versatile and terrific, but he, because of his looks, it was sort of tagged as leading man movie star. So those sort of tags were already becoming less defined. And but yes, I don't think Gene Wilder was thinking he was going to be a leading man.
So if you're like me and you didn't notice that Gene Wilder was even in Bonnie and Clyde, go back and watch his performance if you're a fan of his. That's what I'm going to do after this.
Great.
Thanks again, John, for joining us.
Sure.